So let's play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Let's do it, baby.
Let's play some D&D.
So we got together tonight so that the four of us could help our viewers recap sessions 1 through 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's rewind the clock.
If I could turn back time.
I'm just having a moment listening to Eric pour his drink.
I want you to keep going.
So
D&D to D&D.
we got some... it lives on.
It lives on.
It lives on.
We've got some D&D to D&D.
Let it disappear.
We couldn't. Had to bring it back.
Oh my god.
After that was said to you,
That's
I
not our
made a
catchphrase.
That
Hey,
was
so it should be,
Hey,
though.
Dean, don't repeat that.
while that was a real cornball moment. The one thing I think about is how when she left and the door closed, you guys all burst out in such a loud moment of laughter. All I could think of was how it must have made her feel to hear the door close and then have the whole room in muffled laughter behind her. Like, that's got to be a bad feeling.
Yeah.
So know that we
Sorry.
weren't laughing at you. We were just laughing about what you said, which was ridiculous.
Yeah. We have to
And we still use it.
to D and do.
So we are on the planet of Atania. We had a really good session 0, I thought. I thought session 0 was really enjoyable.
Totally.
We talked about Atania, the planet that Emberfell, the continent, is on. We talked about the solar system that Atania rotates around, the star of Ilunga. We talked a lot about the calendar. We talked a lot about the months in the calendar, how long a week is, etc., etc.
The moons.
The moons. Yeah.
Cool.
So, like Doder, Swoon, and Nuvis, which are the 3 moons, actually do have, they're not there arbitrarily. And we haven't really gotten into that yet, but I think they're going to play a role in this.
I want to give a shout out to Lore, because I think that is my favorite of the 6 planets. 6 known planets.
Yeah, and is that any reference to the lore from Star Trek The Next Generation?
Oh, really?
Oh, did I mention that?
No.
Oh.
But that just gives it even extra moment.
As someone who was almost named Jean-Luc, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You were almost named Jean-Luc?
Yeah, it's what I want to change my middle name to.
Oh my God,
That'd be
I love
incredible.
that.
I can change
I
whatever
approve.
name you want to. think,
I approve.
You got a lot of people that would approve of that, I think.
Cool.
So, yeah. Sorry.
No, it's
I fucked up.
Didn't campaign hard enough. Yeah, we fucked up.
We fucked it up, guys. Sorry.
I mean, hey, I wasn't, I was, a baby? I couldn't weigh in on, hey, I want my middle name
This is what
to
I want
be-
my name to be.
Yeah.
One thing we don't typically get to do at the table is tell everybody who we are. We kind of jump into our roles and we play. And I think at some point I'd like to change that a little bit. So just so we know who we have at the table tonight, I'm Todd. I'm usually the DM.
Hi, I'm Atticus. I use they, them pronouns, and I am usually the person who is playing Brec, but I disappeared. That's fun.
Which is what we're into right now.
Where's Brec?
Hi, my name is Rich, and I usually play Tryfon, and yeah.
My name's Eric. I usually play Thrud. She's very much one of my favorite people. Besides maybe Atticus, because they're my kid.
Yeah. So family.
You're my dad.
Family in the house.
Woogie.
All right. So when we started off our game, when we began, the 6 players in this group were at various stages of captivity on some level. And the game opened with several of you having been in a dream state because you had been knocked unconscious. A couple of you were dreaming. Those dreams were described very vividly. And I don't know if we need to necessarily go into that, but you were all either currently in or being taken to Blackthorn Keep, which is a sort of defunct, abandoned stronghold on the outskirts of the city of North Veritas.
Quite beautiful and sinister, I might say.
What's that?
Yeah.
Blackthorn Keep is quite beautiful and a little bit on the sinister side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
got a nice
it was a very
ambiance.
apropos keep on the outskirts of a large
Yeah,
town.
it felt very,
menacing.
Masters of the Universe, very, very Hordak. It was really cool. The print was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, we had a really good model for that, actually. Maybe at some point we can throw that up on social media if we can get some good pictures of it.
Throwback Thursday.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Throw Blackthorn.
Throw Blackthorn.
Throw Blackthorn Thursday. Yeah.
Wait, do I still have a picture of... I might.
Well, we might be able to splice it right into this video if you do. We could get a picture of it.
Blackthorn Keep, everybody.
So here's a picture of Blackthorn Keep.
Yeah.
Hey.
So when you awaken, there are 6 of you in the basement of this keep. We've got Remy and we've got Tryfon both in cells.
Yes.
And the rest of you are chained to the wall. There are 2 NPCs also present. We had Dickie the Whippet.
Good old Dickie.
And then we had...
Tinkle.
yeah, he called him Tinkle, right?
I cannot remember Tinkle's real name.
Tinkle's real name, I have it, actually.
Lovely.
Tinkle's real name, because Tinkle kind of got lost after all of this, right? He kind of
Didn't Tinkle just dip?
He kind of up and left.
Yeah,
He was sus.
Yeah.
He like Tinkle just sort of like, because I remember when we re-entered Blackthorn Keep, Tinkle was there and just disappeared.
Yeah. Tinkle bolted.
Tinkle's real name was Pius Smoothcalf, a halfling who was a baker in North Veritas.
That's a great name.
Pius Smoothcalf?
Smooth calf?
Smoothcalf.
It's incredible.
And he was kind of a coward, right? I mean, he was on the north south trade road when he was ambushed, knocked unconscious, and dragged off to the keep. And I mean, he was really just doing some light business, delivering some baked goods, and he just met an unfortunate moment. So you guys all hatch a plan to get out of this place, and you wind up, without sort of reliving every single moment in the game, because we don't need to do that to get our viewers caught up. There was an escape. What were some of the details of that?
I remember a big part of it, because a few of us were chained to poles, and then there were some of us who were on walls. I remember Tryfon using some form of leverage to...
Well, the first off, Tryfon, I believe, used a bed sheet to kind of pull his door out of his jail cell, just completely out of its socket. He just kind of growled and stuck his feet in and just pulled it right off. And then he used the door itself to
leverage and
break Remy's door open. And then I let Thrud out, and you kind of let all the people that were chained to the walls and stuff out.
Yeah. I think there was some evaluation of the stonemasonry and how that was.
Yeah.
Yes.
We found some weak points in that, and then we're able to leverage.
Yeah.
And in this moment
where brick.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think there were some nat 20s in there somewhere, you know what I mean?
Could have been.
Maybe.
In this moment where you're breaking free, as the first person to really break free, we also recognize the loyalty that exists between Tryfon and Remy. We start to realize that there is a certain sort of desperate, a kind of wardship that you have over her.
100%. I mean, as soon as he woke up, she was the first person he looked for.
Right.
See if she was okay. And then when he got out, even though it wasn't the most advantageous thing to do, he opened up the bigger jail cell instead of letting the easier people out that were just chained up.
Right. So you managed to get people free. Where does it go?
I think once we had all gotten out, we immediately were like, all right, how do we get the fuck out of here? But also, the place was heavily guarded. So I remember us sort of scrounging around. We found a few clubs, a short sword or two, from some rubble that, or like some chests and barrels and things that some of these like goblinoid-esque creatures that had brought us to Blackthorn Keep had sort of scuttled away some loot off maybe some prior poor souls. I remember Circe, our sorcerer, took a club. I took the short sword, which Brec still has. Spooky.
We need some music.
I agree.
I'm
so with you. Anyway, we sort of kind of scavenged. I remember Thrud was looking for her axe specifically, like sort of the loyalty between Tryfon and Remy.
Yeah.
We kind of thought we kind of saw with Thrud as well, because I remember the first line that you said in that wonderful Thrud voice was "Where's Tyr?"
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I loved that.
Yeah, she's got a bit of a fanatical devotion to Tyr, and was very obsessed with finding it, because it was, quite frankly, Thrud was much more obsessed and worried about Tyr than any of you.
Yes.
That's valid.
Can you describe Tyr? Because I think Tyr is a really pivotal part of the game.
Tyr is a battle axe, quite ornate, that Thrud had created with a lot of remains. I don't know that I've actually revealed this.
Don't reveal anything that hasn't been revealed in the game yet.
But Thrud has had a long connection with Tyr, and Tyr is very connected to a lot of her past, and has a very distinct personality to it that only Thrud really connects to.
I think that's going to be the tricky part of recapping this session, is
right.
trying to sort of get to what we need people to know and what we're supposed to know versus maybe bits and pieces of backstory that we don't want to necessarily reveal yet.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you would do eventually escape. How does the escape go down? Let's just chat about that.
It was
real
pretty
quick.
sexy. I
It was
mean, we
bloody.
kind of bursted out.
Yeah.
Yeah, we burst out the window, which was
Yeah.
pretty much the load-in
Yeah.
to the...
I was just going to say, if I can interrupt you for 1 second, I think we should back up a little bit and talk about who your captors are, because we really didn't get to that necessarily. You do know that there were several goblinoid captors. You saw a couple of people brought in by them. They tended to argue amongst themselves, but it seems like this keep has been sort of overrun by a network, some kind of group, an organized group of either goblinoid or goblin. Highwayman was a great word.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. And that's who you've been. And you don't understand why you're there or what happened to you. You do recall that all of you were on the north-south trade road, heading towards North Veritas for one reason or another, and this is what brought you all together. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. You were on a tear there.
That was absolutely perfect. We, when we woke up and eventually freed our immediate bonds in the basement of the cells, we kind of made our way out through the indoor, which was basically a ramp coming from a low-lying window of the keep. So we were able to kind of scurry up and get out that way. That's when we got out to the wagon and we found some of the more rudimentary weaponry.
Right.
Yeah.
That enabled us to go brawler on some goblins.
But the more important thing in this moment is that it seemed a little bit abandoned at the moment. It was just a small fraction of the population we assume inhabits Blackburn.
It wasn't
Keep.
quite teeming with goblins.
Yeah. It was very much kind of like a skeleton crew, and as such, when we fought our way out, we were able to do so with taking minimal damage.
100%.
Like, Circe went down as she's wont to do, and
Poor Circe. We've had Circe go down a number of times.
Yes.
yes. So, but I mean, other than that, I remember Brec just kind of ran in there and
Went for it.
yeah, I just went for it, honestly.
I think I was right there with you. I ran out on all fours.
Yeah, we were frontlining because I took the short sword, but then I also took the club off of Circe because I was like, I'm capitalizing on my 2-weapon fighting. And just went on a killing spree. We both did.
One of my favorite moments from the combat was when I ran about 30 feet full charge on all fours, and then I shoved my Minotaur horns directly into a goblin, killing him, and then I threw the dead goblin's body at another goblin and ended up knocking them both off the cliff.
That was fucking awesome.
And it was just like It was incredible. It was like, all right, we're starting pretty nice.
Look at this. That was a really cool moment.
I gotta say, like as a DM, one of the questions I often run into in running a game in a session 1 with level 1 characters is this notion of I'm often dissatisfied with the notion of you're all in a tavern and you're sitting around looking for the next gig. I mean, it's a sort of classic sort of way to start the game, but I'm often really interested in what is the moment that 5 or 6 people that are otherwise disparately not even associated, that they bond. What pulls them together? And I find that
the collective cornhole pucker.
or that.
A poet, really.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that like a moment like that, or a moment where you realize you can capitalize on your 2-weapon fighting, or a moment where you fling a goblin off of your minotaur horn into another goblin, knock him off the cliff, they're just tiny little victories that basically say, I like these people. Yeah. Like I think I could see myself, I mean, obviously you're helping each other escape as well, which is an automatic kind of bond, but then there's this other little flavorful thing that gets thrown in there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
100%.
And I think that's probably the reason why we all decided to stick together. I mean, we went back in, saw Tinkle Flea, looted what we...
Hashtag Tinkle Flea?
Hashtag Tinkle Flea, yeah.
Sorry.
We looted what we could.
And more than we should.
More than we should have. I am the culprit of that. When do we want to delve into that now?
I think it's important.
Yeah. So one of the NPCs that we met while chained up was Dickie the Whippet. And Dickie was at the time ferrying some very expensive magical goods to North Veritas, I believe. What he told Brec that he had was a platinum ring with a blue jewel encrusted in it, I believe, as well as a odd sort of smoky liquid in a vial or a bottle.
It was a small vial.
Yep. Brec found that ring and decided to pocket it, and upon later investigation found out that it was a cartographic ring, which is very interesting, and that was kind of what made me really, really, really want to keep it, because wherever the person or creature attuned to it goes, the ring records a map of the nearby surrounding area, and as an action, you can present that map sort of like as like a little projection. So I heard Fantasy Hollow map, and I said, yeah, Dickie's not getting that back. And he did not.
And just to clarify, Dickie the Whippet had lost these things to these goblins who basically looted him upon taking him captive and had hidden them away. And your subsequent exploration of the keep after wiping out the goblins that were there is what led to finding that. Dickie had already escaped. He kind of made off. He had gone.
So he pushed out on, potentially going out and finding his own goods.
Yeah, you
so
to
me,
lose, dude.
That's a character flaw in and of itself. Like, where's all this guff coming from Dickie the Whippet towards us when he didn't even go to look for his own crap?
That's true, because in the last session, Dickie the Whippet corners you in the bar and says, something tells me you have my ring.
He was ready to start a fight.
He was about to throw down.
Yeah, he almost died.
Did not care for that.
Yeah.
No.
At all.
But going back to the past.
Yes, the past.
After the looting, which I think all of us found something or other. I mean, I think Branmorn found some coin, right? If I'm not mistaken.
I believe so.
I tore up a bed.
Yeah, I remember that. We all decided to journey to North Veritas together, and then
subsequently meet up with Dickie the Whippet in the toenail.
In the toenail, because Dickie told us about, or it was just general knowledge about the city, that there was a duo of taverns across the street from one another, the Toenail and the Mallard. The Toenail was more of like an eat-in kind of a spot, whereas the Mallard was more of like a sleep-in kind of a situation.
Right.
So what we decided to do was get rooms at the Mallard and then go across for foodums at the Toenail. And I think that was where we ended off the first session, right?
Right.
Yeah, Tryfon and Remy decided to get their own room because, the hoofed ones decided they didn't really quite trust all of us.
We were weary, and we didn't know who they were. We just met them, and we just wanted to take our time.
To just kind of sum up a little bit on the Toenail and the Mallard, which are, the Toenail is a very strange name, but the Toenail is a local North Veritas establishment that is kind of like a dive bar, but with a great reputation for food and drink. Now, the reason it's called the Toenail is because it actually wasn't originally called that. It was called the Stone and Nail, but the sign has deteriorated such that, and never been fixed, that it looks like it reads the Toenail. Now, Stone and Nail is a name that comes from a game that Bunce, who is the halfling proprietor of the tavern, Bunce's grandfather used to play. It was a game involving one would find a stone and drive a nail into the stone so the nail would hold the stone fast. You would attach a cord or a leather strap or sometimes a chain and make sort of a kind of flail from that. And the participants in the game would hack at each other's stones, trying to break them. And Bunce's grandfather's stone in Stone and Nail actually conquered over 40 other stones in gameplay before it was finally defeated. And so it was a legendary piece. And so the actual Stone and Nail object from the game sits in a small glass vitrine behind the bar as sort of a commemorative object to his grandfather's legacy as a Stone and Nail participant.
Love that.
Beautiful.
That's cool.
Now it's called the Toenail. And it sounds kind of gross.
Yeah.
But hey, you can
Mildly.
get shit-faced there and get a good meal. So.
You can get a chode as well.
Oh, the chode.
We love the chode.
And when we got there
The
too,
meat's not bad as well.
Yeah, the meat's not bad. And neither are the chestnuts.
Yeah, there's some
We
Right.
walked in there.
interesting waitresses going on there. Yeah.
I will never ever. I will never forget the look of shock on everybody's face when Todd looked over across the table at Rich and just goes, "You want to see my Do you want to see my chestnut?" And that scared the living daylights out of me.
So there is a sort of love-seeking halfling barmaid in the Toenail named...
She's really cute.
She's very cute.
Yeah.
Here, I'll put a picture up of her now. Her name is Poppy Button. And Poppy Button is sweet and innocent and really just wants a companion. Poppy Button has a few odd habits. One of which is she keeps a horse chestnut in her overalls. And she feels like that horse chestnut, which she's had since she was a child, is a symbol of her devotion to her eventual mate. And she does keep it in her overalls, but when she first met, was it Tryfon that she first met?
Yeah, she walked up
it
to
was
the
Tryfon.
8-foot-tall Minotaur
And
and asked if he wanted to see her
Hey,
chestnut.
maybe she's a size queen.
Well, no judgment
Not
here.
Tryfon's type.
But didn't she also like? It's not that like she just had it in the top pouch of her overalls or in one of the side pockets.
no, it's in her crotch.
It's in her crotch. Like
Yeah.
she reached into
Yeah.
and then presented. said
Right.
chestnut,
Yeah.
Which
Right.
is that's forward. I'm gonna just
Very.
say it's a little forward.
It's also a little deep, I mean, on some level, because, look, to be honest, like the halfling population in North Veritas, this is not their ideal setting, geographically, where they want to live. And so, for whatever reason, which we're not going to get into now, Poppy Button's not entirely happy living in a city of such a size, right? And, to take a spiky horse chestnut and put it in your crotch, I think every once in a while will remind you that you're alive on some level.
It's very deep.
A little sting
yeah.
of pain.
Okay.
Wow.
Well,
Do
now I
you,
feel
do you
bad
got a
for
fast
her.
chestnut? I got a dream to get us out of here.
Oh, Jesus
What are you saying?
Christ.
All right, I'm with that. I get it.
Wow.
Finally see what it's like to be
Wow.
living,
Song that never should have been remade, but that's a whole other story. Anyway,
So on to session 2. Who wants to take it?
Are we...
Wait, was session 1 where we also met a couple other dwarves. And
yes, you met Duckham and Bergam and Duckham.
Bergam and Duckham, yeah.
And you had a conversation, Thrud, Eric, with Bergam and Duckham.
Yes, we all kind of noted that we were all of a smith's descent. They carry a lot of smith's tools around. They've got some pretty nifty beltage.
Yeah.
Small barrels for tool holders and shrouds, pockets. So Thrud had definitely kind of scoped them. They scoped her, and there was a little bit of an exchange about certain ores in the area. Thrud has been one of the reasons why Thrud has come to North Veritas. So she's kind of started to network with them a little bit and see what they know and what she can find out from them.
And I mean, one thing you discovered about Bergam and Duckham is that they hailed from Ironhold, which is probably one of the closest cities to North Veritas in terms of travel time. So you do get a significant dwarf population in North Veritas passing in and out, trading, finding resources and supplies that they need. And this is pretty common, actually. Ironhold, from what you know, and what I've told during the game, is a dwarven city that is rich in dwarven culture. And so there's actually an entire school there devoted to dwarven craft. And people travel from all over Emberfell to be the recipients of those teachings. And of all backgrounds, races, and species. So, it's not just for dwarves, but that's where they hailed from.
Also, in the bar that night, Tryfon kind of scanned the room a little bit, and this dark-haired girl caught his eye, named Sarah. And this is a human woman, about the same age, mid-20s or so, as Tryfon. And he walked up and started a conversation with her, and they talked for a while, and kind of hit it off.
She failed a lot of her saving throws.
I rolled a lot of nat 20s.
I think charisma checks.
We found out that Tryfon's got a little bit of game.
He does have a little bit of game.
She couldn't resist you.
And I think what I really loved about the Tryfon sexcapades scene was how the rest of the party was kind of just like behaving like exactly how you would expect a group of friends.
Yeah.
Watching watching a member of the group go out and engage in that kind of how the hell
tomfoolery.
Tomfoolery.
Yeah.
Ludicrous tomfoolery.
It's like a bunch of middle schoolers.
There was a whole lot of chatter.
Yelling out Riz.
A whole lot of chatter
coming back from the back table while we were watching that game going down.
Yeah, and I think that was that also felt like after, like, because I'm pretty sure that was one of how we ended off, in a sense, was...
We did.
Yeah.
So... Sarah and Tryfon kind of disappearing into the night.
There was a few more moments of that I'd like to describe. So
okay,
we're not doing that. It's just important. So he also found out that Sarah was the import and export manager of goods that leaves North Veritas.
That's right. She does have a very important job.
And after they talked for a while, they kind of went back to Sarah's place and possibly, definitely did the deed.
Okay.
As soon as Sarah fell asleep, Tryfon left and worked his way back to the Mallard to see, just to kind of stay at his post and make sure Remy was okay.
Neat.
And then I think one thing it's worth pointing out that is something that we typically do in this game is when we broke for the night after session 1, we declared that we would reconvene in 3 days' time, meaning game time, which gave all of you some time to participate in downtime activities and whatnot.
Just do it.
Do it.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
I want a cookie. Who's going
put
first
things in
for
bowls
downtime?
tonight.
Wait,
Yeah, we did.
Put things
didn't
in
we
bowls
also
tonight.
do one more thing before the end of session 1? Didn't I meet Moth? And what's his name?
No, you did that in your downtime.
Moth was in downtime.
No, you met him in the game.
You do meet him.
Yeah.
You met him in the game.
Well,
in the
listen,
streets.
we don't necessarily have to cover every
Okay.
detail of every
Okay.
session because we will be here for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Because we've got 4 sessions to cover.
I think first session we did go to Balls of Steel.
You did. Balls of Fire.
Balls of Fire. Balls of Steel, Balls of Fire.
Same thing.
it's a forge. There's fire, there's balls, there's steel. These things, they happen. We were on the way back, and I think that's when we met Moth.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Moth's a badass.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just to kind of sum that up, Tryfon, your character as a fighter, as someone who is interested especially in pit fighting, has started to make inroads with the appropriate people. You discovered the Stallion, right? The Stallion is a local bar that downstairs has a pretty large and robust culture of pit fighting.
Yes.
You met the bar manager there named Lonmeat, who is sort of the coordinator. He's kind of gruff, but you also met Moth, who is a fairly high-level barbarian who has now taken you under his wing and begun to sort of train you in some of the different fighting activities.
Yes.
Are we officially on downtime? Talking about that?
That kind of strayed in between both. It was sort of the end of the session of session 1, and it led into downtime.
Yes. Gotcha. 'Cause downtime was something.
Downtime was good.
She went down on downtime.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely something that we were chatting about before we started this little recap, was how we really do enjoy the fact that there's these downtime moments that we kind of have offline, but it also kind of helps flesh out our characters and where we are in the world, and work a little of that magic between individuals and you. And
Yeah.
that's
I mean, one thing I'm looking forward to doing in the future with this game, and the people who are watching the game, is our downtime chat when we're not at the table and you guys are sort of off trying to figure out how to develop your characters. It takes place on Discord, but in private channels. And I'm actually looking for ways to get our viewers able to look inside those private channels so they can pick a character and have access to what's going on in their backstory and have a little bit of insider info, which I think could be really interesting to have that kind of knowledge.
Awesome. Yeah.
Oh, the other thing I think that is also noteworthy is how some of the tweaks that you made to Emberfell in terms of like when we level up and how we go about gaining a lot of those abilities. It's not such a instant gratification thing. There's a little bit more work involved in that, which I think definitely helps us to really commit more to our characters. So.
Yeah, another thing that, being a DM I find that is frustrating is when a character levels, there appears to be this instantaneous bump in abilities or in some kind of acquisition of a spell, something that makes you like that, as if a switch was flipped. You now have this other thing, which to me seems unrealistic in terms of the development of the character. So in our game, it is a player's responsibility to understand when their character is getting close to leveling, and then to take the appropriate means to flesh out how they might have acquired that. So if it's a case of a particular feat in fighting, or the case of a particular spell that, or a spell slot, for example, that a wizard might receive, they've got to go train for that. They've got to spend a little bit of time to make that acquisition understandable and not just a given. And I think, and we've got lots of homebrew rules in this game that we're sort of implementing in this, that we've either borrowed from other games that we've seen that we find to be interesting or effective, or that we've just kind of made up out of experience because we've played this for a long time and we know what we want. So session 2.
I think session 2 was really, really interesting because A, Dad, you showed up a little late, and B, we kind of wanted to go around the table and do because we all had our private conversations in Discord with our dungeon master.
Just can't help yourself, can you?
That was entirely unintentional, and I know you'll never believe me when I say that was unintentional, but that was unintentional.
There goes that.
Either way, whatever the case, we wanted to do a go around the table and go over what you wanted to do in downtime. But that kind of went off the rails when we all decided to include each other in our various downtime activities. Tryfon and Branmorn went on a food tour of North Veritas.
Yeah, we did.
Which was...
And we got drunk.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Remy was sick the whole time as
Remy
well.
was
Remy got a bad stomach bug from the toenail, and she was down for the count for a few days in the Mallard.
I remember, I'm fairly certain, Tryfon, you had a fight.
Yes, I did my first pit fighting competition, and it was pretty fun. I remember the first fight was kind of, in Tryfon's opinion, it was a little bit bullshit.
Lost.
As they say, doctor stoppage. All right, I was up, I was fine, but they stopped the fight because I was injured or taking too many hits, one might say.
You are only level 1. I mean, you are potentially, still mortal.
No, I don't, not at all. My only saving grace is my AC.
Yeah.
The second fight I won, and then the third fight I got brutally knocked out by my friend Moth. So that was fun.
And then there's the rats.
Oh, rats.
So Brec decided that something they would do would be to go to the town, sort of like a town square center kind of a thing in North Veritas, and check out a notice board, see if there were any jobs, because Brec sort of styled themselves as a bit of a hunter prior to going to the notice board. Brec took a little visit to the north gate of North Veritas and reconvened with a guard by the name of Benny to collect a payment on a sack of kobold heads that Brec had painstakingly acquired very recently before being captured and taken to Blackthorn. But after collecting, Brec went over to the notice board and took 2 notices that were of interest. The first of which, and the one that we decided to run with, was a halfling woman by the name of Lib Luna had a rat problem in her basement and required some form of exterminator to attend to said problem. Brec went over to Lib Luna's place, and after meeting with Lib Luna, Brec took a look down the spiral staircase into the basement, and in a absolute horror fest, Brec decided, you know what? I'm gonna grab some friends.
Very smart idea.
Because when your dungeon master looks at you and tells you the floor is moving, you don't go at that on your own.
Very smart.
Yeah. So Brec went back to the Mallard and retrieved Tryfon, Bran, and Circe. And the 4 of them decided to take on these rats. A variety of strategies were discussed and a variety of strategies were implemented. The basement was lit on fire. We're good at what we do. It eventually just sort of...
People were fumbling off the steps,
yeah,
through the steps.
Through the steps,
right?
It was a lot.
I think it was through the
steps.
steps. I may have caused the hole in the step.
There was a lot of us trying to avoid the rats, but also deal substantial damage to the rats. I believe there were 8 swarms of rats. That's a lot of piercing damage.
For level 1.
Yes. So, Circe went down, as she is wont to do, and Bran went down, so Tryfon took both of them
on his shoulder, like this, little fireman's carry,
exactly.
You know? And just fucking huffed it through town looking for a healer. I checked with Brec to make sure that they could handle this and that it was okay, and that we'll be right back, but these guys are going to die if I don't do this. So we huffed it through town, and we found a nice healer that thankfully could bring them back.
Meanwhile, Brec ran out of the basement, grabbed a tablecloth, ran back into the basement, jumped from the top of the spiral staircase down into the basement, and while avoiding rat strikes, barely managed to put out the fire by smothering it with the tablecloth, and then turned around and somehow managed to deal with, I believe at that point there were 4 rat swarms remaining. meleeed 2 of them, and then was dropped to 1 hit point. Ran out of the basement, and I picked the rest of the rats off with light crossbow.
From the door.
From the
You
door.
kept closing and opening it.
The move was get behind the door, open the door, fire, close the door. Now, that's all fun and games until the rats are up against the door. So Brec enlisted the help of Lib Luna by asking her, hey, do you have any buckets of water? She did. So instead of shooting, Brec opted to open the door and have Lib Luna throw water down the stairs to push the rats back, which was successful. However, Lib Luna got bit by a rat, which took away 3 of her 4 hit points. So at this point, you have 2 characters on 1 hit point going up against rats.
We're good at what we do.
I collected 25 gold pieces for the removal of all the rats, and then regrouped with my friends, and we split the money evenly and accordingly. That was the rats.
After the rats.
After the rats was...
Our downtime was done.
Yes.
And we picked up as a group all together. Remy was feeling better. Thrud was present.
I was back from delivering a custom item that one of the head of the North Veritas Guard had commissioned for his son. So after that, Thrud saw how dirty you were all from rats.
I think one thing that's great about session 2 is that we're kind of getting our feet wet in North Veritas. We're kind of getting familiar with the city. We're making certain connections with people like Lib Luna or Bergam and Duckham, and starting to kind of get a feel for the direction the party might take. You also have this notion in session 2 where, if I'm not mistaken, you hit up Magistrate Beauclou for the quest.
Yes. The second notice that Brec took off of the notice board was that of a request from the North Veritas Magistrate Commission that sought out a group of mercenaries to investigate some happenings on the north-south trade route, do some reconnaissance regarding some burglary. So we went and talked with that magistrate, and took the contract.
We did. Mm-hmm. We had prior experience with the increase of attacks that's on the outskirts of the city around Blackthorn.
And you also mentioned yourselves as former captives of this very group.
Yes.
So
we had an revenge. We had a way.
You definitely had an in.
Yeah. And then there was session 3.
Yes.
Dreaded session 3.
Oh, session 3.
Session 3. Oh.
Yeah. So we went on our quest to see what was going on the road, and on that road, slightly before Blackthorn Keep, we ended up getting jumped.
Yep.
Getting jumped by a small group of goblins. And I think we took care of them pretty nicely.
You didn't get jumped. You saw them, and then you failed your stealth check.
Yeah,
and
sorry.
Yes.
Thick and
it's heavy armor.
Thick
You're
and loud.
clanky.
Thrud's a clanky girl.
Now, there were 6 of them in that initial group, if I remember correctly.
One of them got away.
Yeah, we handled them pretty nicely, and one of them ran away, tore off before we could even get them. Yeah. And then, as we ended up murdering all of his friends, we heard the clanging of a bell at Blackthorn Keep.
Yeah.
And we felt like that was time to run. So we ended up doubling back through the woods to kind of like make a plan. And we didn't want to come back to North Veritas empty-handed, so we're like, all right, let's try to sneak about. Maybe we can pick them off slowly, one by one.
I think one of the aspects of our commission was to bring back some more information, either in the form of a captive that we could interrogate, or the magistrate could interrogate.
Yes.
Or some really viable proof of what was happening. So that was a big thrust in terms of some of the actions taken by the party, was to really try to find a way to bring home the bacon, as it were.
Yeah. We ended up sneaking around kind of the backside of Blackthorn Keep, and we were doing okay until we failed some stealth checks.
I think it's appropriate that you're telling this story.
I think I should. I think it's important for Tryfon.
Yeah.
We failed some stealth checks, and then a few arrows came flying our way. And a bigger fight with the goblins ensued, but this time we were highly outnumbered, and the only thing separating us from the goblins were a few trees that were giving us some cover. We were doing okay for a little bit, and we were picking off the goblins as they were behind cover and we were behind cover, but they decided to play strategically and push their numbers aggressively onto us, and kind of and their goblin boss named Crix came out and basically kind of shoved his advantage in our face and was like, look guys, you don't have a chance here. There's about 14 goblins left, and there were
19 goblins.
19 goblins left, and only 6 of us. And he kind of told us the situation, and chaos ensued after this. So we all made split-second decisions, and most of the party decided to double back and run as the goblins were kind of encroaching on our tree line. And
we cut bait.
We cut and ran.
Yeah.
Circe ended up waving a white flag and kind of surrendering. And then Tryfon...
I think it was a strategic plan.
A strategic plan, yes.
She was trying to
get
avoid going down as she is wont to do.
Yes.
But also I think, again, trying to infiltrate and
get some information.
The highwaymen of Blackthorn Keep and really find some information.
Right.
So admirable on her part that she was willing to sacrifice her safety and do that.
And then the big moment of session 3, Tryfon, a lot of things went through his head. He was thinking about the mission they were on, where they needed to bring a goblin back with them. And Remy ran, because him and Remy were behind the same tree, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna come out from the side of this tree, attempt to whack one of the goblins in the face, and then in turn use my grapple maneuver right after that, and then attempt to take this goblin and run. He missed. He missed his attack, which meant he couldn't do the grapple, and then attempted to run right after that. But kind of like he took all the attention of the goblins for being the only one that ended up pressing back out of the group, and a lot of their attention was averted to him. And kind of like Faramir in Lord of the Rings, he took a bunch. Boromir, thank you. Who's Faramir?
Faramir's his brother.
Boromir's younger brother.
Got it.
Kind
of like
married Eowyn.
Dad didn't really approve of.
Yes. Kind of like Boromir took a bunch of arrows in the back as he was running towards his group. He took a lot of them, and he ended up using his fighter ability to kind of gain some health back, and then in the second turn took a bunch more arrows, and I believe it was almost like 12 of the goblins shooting 2 rounds of arrow volleys his way, and he took too many arrows and went face first into the mud and completely died. His hit points were reduced below his negative amount of health, and he completely died in that moment.
Full Dark Souls.
So, I got to jump in here because as a DM, this is a really hard moment because we in session 0 laid down some really, really hardcore rules for this game. One of which was if you die in game, you're out. You're out. This is not going to be some game where we're constantly flipping through character regeneration like, I'm bored with this guy, let's make this guy. I want my players to be invested in their characters, deeply invested in their characters. I want the notion of death to mean something. I want there to be tension when there's danger. Now, that being said, I don't make it impossible to come back. There are some caveats in there that could get you back, but it's not easy. You've got to be a player that works well with other players. And it is possible we could let you make a new character that is the product of a bloodline with another character. But if that other player doesn't want to mix your bloodline because you're a prick at the table, then you're probably gonna go, right? So I know that in that moment when Tryfon died, Rich flipped out.
Yeah, I was really pissed.
Yeah, and on some level it shows that that this dynamic in the game is effective because you got really upset, and I wasn't expecting this.
No.
I mean, I know you guys are squishy at level 1, but I was not expecting this.
Yeah.
So anyway, to try and bring this around so we can kind of pull this together, it was a tragic moment. The goblins then, of course, advance. 3 of the players get away into the woods, and Tryfon's body is picked up by the... You got something you want to add? I'm sorry.
Yeah, 2 of the... 3 of them got away. One of them stayed back.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was Brec.
Indeed.
Brec stayed back.
Brec found a little alcove, or a downed tree, I think it was, and took a short rest and hunkered down and meditated for an hour because he saw Tryfon go down.
Mm-hmm. And meanwhile, Tryfon's body gets hauled back to Blackthorn Keep for your second stay in the basement. However,
baby.
this time you're a corpse.
Yes.
But Crix Lockfinger had other plans for you.
Yes.
And so...
He interrupted my beautiful dream that I was having. I was running peacefully in a field on all fours, neighing and stomping.
Channeling your wild.
Yes, it was
I
beautiful.
think Ferdinand smelling the posies under the cork tree.
It was quite beautiful.
Perfect image.
Yeah.
But then you're jolted awake from that because Crix Lockfinger actually performed Revivify.
Revivify of the Eldar.
Of the Eldar, correct. This was something that I don't think any of the players expected, but he intended, because he had a certain attraction to your size, stature, and ability, he wanted to make you one of his own.
Yes.
And he did mutter, "You work for me now."
Yes. And in doing so, and to give me a permanent reminder of my failure and my owing my life to him now, decided to pull out a handsaw and saw off my left horn on the top of my head while I was awake. Tryfon was screaming out in pain, and also kind of slipping in and out of consciousness as he was very delirious. And Shed, after they left and took his horn and his dignity with it, he painfully shed a single tear, and showed some vulnerability.
Meanwhile, it's important to say that Circe, who had surrendered, was chained to a post watching all of this happen, feigning sleep, but was watching all of this happen to her horror.
Yes.
The other 3 characters are outside the building trying to figure out a way in, and you were finishing up a meditation.
That I was. Brec, at that point, my intention for this silly little half-drow was to find a way into Blackthorn Keep. Retrieve the body of Tryfon, because they didn't know that Tryfon had been brought back to life. So Brec was like, big dude deserves a proper burial. So Brec...
Big dude appreciates that.
Yeah. Brec decided to go full predator and climb up the tree that or climb up a nearby tree and jump from tree to tree.
I'm on a branch.
We're getting there. Oh wait, no,
that was when we were running away from the goblins. That's when Brec was on a branch.
Yes, the formation of the joke, I'm on a branch, occurred after I situated myself in a tree during the battle with the 19 goblins and having a little bit of a crossbow shooting match. I said, I'm on a branch. And Branmorn and Thrud just couldn't stop laughing at it. But I digress.
I'm on a branch. I'm on a branch.
Whatever the case may be.
It's funny.
Is that the long rest after that?
I think so.
Sat up in the tree?
No. I took a short rest being under a down tree doing a little meditation. And then afterwards, jumped from tree to tree where Brec found Remy, Bran, and Thrud sort of like kind of scouting.
We were scoping
it out, scouting.
We were checking out the towards the lower southern side.
Yes.
The southwestern corner,
side, where the forest. There's kind of a large hill that leads up to Blackthorn Keep. So we had come down the hill and then made our way around, and we're kind of scouting out the areas of Blackthorn Keep that we hadn't seen, looking for potential ways to get in and see if we could regain our friends.
Yeah.
So ultimately, when you were finally able to sort of gain access to the keep, because there was a lot of time spent sort of prowling around the outside looking for access points.
And this is session 4.
Correct, because we had broken at that point.
Indeed.
Right.
One of the other things that we forgot to mention about Blackthorn Keep, one I think a very important detail, was the large amount of barrels that were about the space. I believe there was a stockpile of 4 to 5 out in front of
minimum
of the keep, which is a large ramp where a lot of wagons would load and unload.
And early in session 1, you had all opened a couple of those barrels and discovered that most of them were filled with sulfur.
Very smelly yellow rocks.
Yeah.
So this syndicate of highwaymen seemed to be targeting specific cargo loads around either sulfur, the mineral, or other similar things of a similar nature. So in session 4,
we wake up early in the morning. Circe divulges to Tryfon that she wants to stay and gather information on this high group of highwaymen, no matter what outcome happens. And Tryfon accepts that, but Tryfon has to get back to he wants to see if Remy's okay and make sure of that. And he ends up snapping out of his handcuffs and chains. But as he gets up to snap Circe out, just in case, a group of goblins come back in, and Tryfon has to fake being back in his handcuffs, and it's successful. And they kind of sit there waiting for a moment of opportunity to kind of get Tryfon out of there.
So at this point, if I'm not mistaken, Brec, Circe, Remy, and Thrud have...
Brec, Bran, Remy.
Sorry, Brec, Bran,
Yeah.
Thrud, and Remy. Sorry, I threw Circe in there. Circe's a captive.
Indeed.
You all reconvene around the perimeter of Blackthorn Keep, and you're looking for a way to get in that is not the obvious front entrance.
We did find a number of windows along the northeastern side of the keep, I believe. And we were able to, Thrud, I believe, hiked Remy up to their shoulders and was able to get a glimpse into one of the rooms.
Correct.
There was 3 rooms on the second floor with windows.
It was the first floor, but it's up a distance from the foundation.
So yeah, we did a little bit of recon through those windows. Did we see a desk in the first set of windows?
Yep, one room had a desk.
The other room looked to be a bit of a storeroom.
Yeah.
Like a smaller closet.
There were 2 storerooms.
Yeah, and then a larger storeroom that was closer to the front entrance of the building.
With the barrels in it.
With multiple barrels.
Right.
Yeah, with the smelly yellow stones. The middle area, I believe, had a cracked window. And Bran has a fairly interesting ability in that he can reduce himself into a ring that he carries. So Thrud again hoisted Remy up onto his shoulders, and Remy was able to throw the ring with Bran through the opening in the window.
At which point now Bran is inside Blackthorn Keep.
Blackthorn Keep. So we found that chink in the armor and got him in.
Bran then proceeds to sort of explore the storeroom. He finds Tyr in the storeroom.
Yes.
And he also finds a couple of other things that were of interest. And then he, I believe, lays a couple of torches into the barrels.
But before that, he noticed that Crix was in that first room with
Crix Lockfinger was in the building.
With the desk. He was
Correct.
working on something.
Correct.
So stealthily, Bran was able to
get in the 2 rooms down.
And lay a few lit torches at the base of the barrels.
Yes.
With explosive consequences.
And long story short, basically sets all of the Blackthorn Keep on fire.
Oh yeah, we blew the shit out of that place.
Yes.
Awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
Cool guys don't look at explosions.
No, they don't.
It's also worth mentioning that in that moment, Tryfon and Circe both opted to escape.
We heard the kaboom and we said, fuck this, we're out. Fuck this shit, I'm out.
At that time as well, the rest of the group had sort of all begun to come together in front of Blackthorn Keep. And at the last minute, Brec wound up grabbing a injured and unconscious goblin, hoisting them over their shoulder, and running.
Yeah, we noped.
Yeah. We grabbed our prisoner, made sure they were still alive.
Yeah. And a nice little reunion out front of the.
We hugged it out.
I think we hugged before we ran away. Yeah, something like that.
A lot of flames in the background.
Yeah.
The rest of the party was kind of shocked to see not only Tryfon alive, but Tryfon without a horn.
Yes.
Also to note, he was very grateful for Bran grabbing his hammer from the goblins before he had exploded the place.
Right. So you make it back to North Veritas, goblin in tow. You meet with Magistrate Baclue, where the goblin is taken into custody for questioning. And you're given a fairly sizable reward, which is the most money the party has earned to this point.
250 gold pieces, which were split evenly.
And so after that, I believe it was back to the toenail, correct?
It was back to the toenail. I think we engaged in a little bit of drinkery before taking to bed. But prior, Brec went out and spent some money, and I think that's all that needs to be said about that little dude.
And that pretty much sums up how the party came together.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I think so far we've got several potential interesting storylines going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's getting juicy.
And a little bit mucky.
A little bit mucky.
Yeah, it's a little slightly.
And a little bit sexy at times. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
Sort of sticky.
It's a little bit.
A little sticky, a little slick.
I like. Oh, hey, hello.
So one thing that we're going to do is I know that in this video we left out a lot of the details of each character, who they are, what they're playing, and some of the sort of physical traits of each of those characters. We are going to be making one-on-one interviews with each of our players to sort of introduce and talk about their characters, and we will get those up and available to all of you hopefully very soon. But I thought this was great.
Yeah.
This
was fun.
I had fun.
Yeah. I did too. I want to make one quick shout out because I've been meaning to do this for a couple of videos now. A couple of us were down at PAX Unplugged this past year, and we ran into the people at Pocket Bard who were advertising their soundboard system, which is an app that's available. We're not sponsored by them, but up until this point, I had been using another very well-known sound system for gaming, which I won't say. And I got used to it, and I thought nothing could top that. And so I didn't use Pocket Bard. And then it popped up in my social feed, and I was like, well, wait a minute, I remember that guy. Let's try this thing out. And a bunch of us started using it. It's on right now.
It's awesome.
And we freaking love it. We love it. So we love you guys at Pocket Bard. Thank you for that. Yeah, I think that's going to close us out for the night.
Yeah.
Right?
Hell yeah.
We have D and did.
Oh my god, please stop doing that.
The video is D and done.
D and do, and then we D and did. Oh my god.
Let's D and dip.
All right.
Chocolate.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys.